Welcome back to Where Bluebirds Walk. It's a happy Cardiff City fan that we're talking to this week, scoring a goal away at Swansea, a brand new debut for an amazing centre-back, a manager finally showing what the derby needs. Everything is good in Cardiff. Welcome to Where Bluebirds Walk. Thank you so much for watching. We are one of very few Cardiff City review channels across the internet, so we'll be really grateful for you to hit that like and the subscribe button. We're talking back with Jamie Anderson, 93 on Twitter. Please follow him if you don't already, who has some amazing takes on all Cardiff games. And of course, we are starting this week with the review of the South Wales derby. We're also talking about transfers, and we're also going to be looking ahead, of course, to the next game against the Borough. Right. Jamie, did you enjoy that?
First half, no. It was we had to listen to "It's happening again, it's happening again, Cardiff City is happening again." I think the vast majority of us thought when we conceded after 9 minutes, it was happening again. But as the game went on, we grew into the game, and coming out there, I know Swansea fans are laughing at us celebrating the fact we've got a 1-1 draw. But in a derby game away from home where we haven't scored for many, many years, I'll take that any given Sunday.
Absolutely. It feels like a loss to them, given how much they dominated the first half, but they didn't do much with it, did they? There wasn't, it's not like, Bovarth was peppered with shots.
No, and I think any home side in any derby, they have the fans behind them, their home music playing, etc. And I think they put 3 really strong physical challenges in. They're quite late. And Oliver Langford let them he was trying to sort of keep his cards in his pocket as long as he could. But that set the tone for us in the first half. I think Swansea were sort of more at it than us. And we had to wave some sort of little storms in little patches. I wouldn't say we were necessarily, like you said, they're half troubled, but they had, a lot of the ball. And I think we stepped off them a bit too much at times. But yeah, as the game grew on, we grew into it. And I think from a Swansea fan's perspective, they were unhappy with their changes. And looking at it, to be honest with you, I think our changes most definitely made more of an impact, and it gave us the goal that we so longed for a while now.
Yeah, I think Franco went off with some sort of shoulder injury, from what I understand, and so that changed the tide of the game. What about your debuting centre back then? I mean, some game to throw a new boy into. What did you make of his contributions? I mean, he's a tempestuous sod.
Yeah, I mean, it's gone a bit viral, but his little Cruyffy turn, which was brilliant. I think it was you could see at first there was a few little teething problems between him and Chambers, but I suppose that's natural when any new centre-half partnership. We've kind of changed both centre-halves this season in Chambers and him. And as the game grew on, I think they the cohesion between him and Chambers grew. And I think Chambers almost sort of just defended, and Darland did the sort of Harry Darling-esque sort of take the ball, dribble, bring it out from the back, and then bring other players into it. He certainly looks like a cracking signing for the value that we've signed him for.
Absolutely. Have a look at some of these takes that there was a great fan who posted. I want to see how much you agree to. So cheers, Jake, for these. Darland, outstanding debut, which you've already highlighted. Carwell, brilliant when came on. I think everyone has agreed with that, especially his little dust up at the end there with the VIP shirt. We'll come back to Ramsey not good enough in a minute, because I know that's controversial, but there have been a few tweets suggesting the same. Robbo, the number 1 striker. Nodding with that one.
Yeah.
Willock is a good attacking threat. I didn't think so much in the first half, but certainly grew into the game. Would you agree with that one?
Yeah, definitely. I think it sounds daft, but obviously when you're a wide player, you need to get the ball wide and you need to get them one-on-one. And he did. As the game went on, we used our wingers a lot more effectively.
Absolutely. Tanner, super sub vibes. We all agree with that.
Yeah, most definitely. Most definitely. Again, I think it's his game. I think it's his game, the South Wales derby.
Yeah. CEO is struggling.
it's a tricky one. I think he does everything great defensively, and he's everywhere on the pitch. But unfortunately, maybe his passing ability and his attacking prowess is not what it is. And again, we don't expect that for him or from him, but it would help.
Chambers will be underrated. I think Chambers is already very much underrated. And I love this last one. Thanks, Jake. At last, one Errol Buller shows us he knows what a derby means to us. What did you make of that standing up at the end? I mean, you were in the ground, so I don't know how much you saw of it, but you've obviously watched it back.
It just looked, so you could see little things happening off the ball. In any derby, you get the sort of little word games and so on. But when Aaron Ramsey goes down, and I think he originally held his head, it was our throw-in, as the commentator said, so our manager's got the ball. I personally dislike Keith Stroud. I think he loves a bit of the limelight. And you could see that when he was speaking to the referee, he was telling him Errol Bullett's almost inciting all the trouble. When in actual fact, he was telling, was it Fulton, get your hands off me 3 times. And then Kyle Norton came from, 10 yards away and came in and thought, I'll have a bit of that. It's a silly sending off. I think even the Sky Sports studio said it was there any need for it in the 95th minute? Hopefully it gets overturned, but hey, that's it's a passionate manager, something that we probably haven't had in a derby for a while.
Yeah, it's a good. What rule is he actually breaking? He didn't encroach onto the pitch. The play was stopped anyway because the referee had, at that point, waved the medical team on for Ramsey. So he was essentially just holding onto a ball, which according to some sources you're not allowed to do. But
we were on top. I mean, it wasn't as if it was, for example, we were holding on for dear life. He was deliberately slowing down the game. You could argue, if you wanted to be, picky or anything like that Kyle Norton was slowing it down by nicking the ball and sort of trying to stem the flow. But it's just, it's one of those silly ones that if, when a referee's putting their card in, they're going to justify it from their perspective. And I just hope the EFL sees some sense and actually say that it's a pointless red card and therefore it should be overturned.
All right, then let's do the elephant in the room. Then talk about Mr. Ramsey. I'll give you my thoughts in a minute. Let's get your blue tinted spectacles on it.
I think age maybe is a factor now. Obviously, previous injury history and so on, and it's about, in my opinion, is managing Ramsey as well because he's 34 years old. When you allowed Ruben Caldwell, when he came on, to have the more advanced role, and Ramsey was linking up sort of as a 6/8, I think it worked a lot better. Because the first half, when the ball was going into Ramsey, it felt like every Swansea player was around him. He was crowded, and he just couldn't get anything flowing. Naturally, as the game opens up, you see a lot more sort of open play and just sort of people going at each other. But yeah, I think if at the minute, apart from his goal in pre-season, I don't think he's sort of setting things alight. Hopefully he does. But Ruben Caldwell, I think a few Cardiff fans have said maybe it's, do we bring Ramsey off the bench, say for half an hour if the game permits it, to manage the game out? I think it's just managing Ramsey and seeing where he's at, because he's played quite a lot of minutes already this season.
That's the point I was going to make. I think he's an impact player now, isn't he? The age that he's at, he's not sure how many games he's going to be able to get through, even if he's doing 75 minutes a game for what he gives you. And like you say, he's a name, isn't he? You know what he's going to do with the ball. Yeah. So because of that, the opposition are going to probably have him. They're not man marked, they're double marked when they haven't got the ball. So he's going to find things difficult, and he's a confidence player, isn't he? And when things aren't going his way, you can see it in his face. You can see it in his next pass. When it's not going right, he's one of those players that you know on the pitch it's not going right for him.
And I think
you might be right. 25 minutes coming on, he'll be better.
With any sort of higher profile player that's returning to a club, there's going to be a lot of expectation and hope from their own fans because he's one of your own, etc. And we all want him to do well. It's not like fans are completely sort of out for him to say he's not good enough or anything like that. We know there's quality there, but if he's tiring, for example, naturally your quality is going to sort of regress in a way because you're running around for a large part of the game. And in the first half, especially, he was one of probably arguably 10 or 11 of our players running around chasing the ball. So it's about, I suppose, finding his role and knowing his role, I suppose, that then can get the best for the team. Because again, you can only, in my opinion, it's my own personal opinion, should be picked on merit as opposed to anything else.
Okay. All right. Couple more things there before we get to the Borough game. Transfer window closes on Friday. What do Cardiff need for it to be a good window for you?
I think it's depth. I still feel we need probably a left back. I think a lot of Cardiff fans, we fully are behind Callum O'Dowd at left back. He's given his all, but his strength is further up the pitch and his speed. I think he had that one little breakaway yesterday where he probably was fouled, which showed that. Probably a left back. I think, to be honest with you, he left or right back because obviously if Perry NG goes down, we're struggling there. I hope Kanga does really well for us. It's still early days, but when Robinson came on yesterday, he seems to be giving everything. He's a pressing forward. He's pressing from the front. And I think if Cardiff are going to be successful this year, as Errol Bullitt has alluded to, we need to press higher at the pitch. And for that, you need an out-and-out striker just to keep pressing. And I'm not too sure as of yet, albeit 3 games in, that Kanga has that in him to do it for a prolonged period of time.
No, certainly not the first evidence of the first half yesterday anyway. Some outgoings as well. Ryan Winter's been told he's got no place at Cardiff. And McGuinness, of course, we have to mention that. Yeah. We talked about it briefly last week, but it could happen. It has happened. 10 million, happy with that?
Oh, delighted. I think we've, as a club, over the last, I'd probably say the last 5-6 years, haven't sold players particularly well. We've just given them away. When you have an asset that McGuinness was, and from a sort of financial perspective now, as football is being ran, it's a brilliant sale, isn't it? It's pure profit. We've given Arsenal the money that they're owed through their sell on, and hopefully he does well for Luton. And obviously, naturally, if Luton get promoted, we get more of a chunk of money. In terms of Ryan Wintle, listen, when a manager comes out and names a player and says he's not part of my plans, and also says that it's between him and his agent now to make their mind up, with 4 days left in the transfer window to go, what's going to give? Because he wants to be playing himself every game, as Errol Bullitt has said, but there has to be some sort of give. If it's whether it's wages, percentage, or whatever, something has to give. If you want to play, you need to go. I like him as a person, but he probably isn't fitting into our team at the minute.
Okay. And then finally, 2 games this week. Then, first of all, the Saints at home in the cup, and then of course Middlesbrough this weekend. You've lost the last 3 to Borough, including very disappointing 4-1 earlier this year in April, which is one of Cardiff's worst performances, if I remember rightly, of the whole season. It's not going to be 4-1 this weekend, is it?
It's one of those ones you never know who's going to turn up, because like last year, Borough absolutely hammered us at home, and I think in the last few years we haven't had a particularly great record at home against Middlesbrough. However, obviously going off last weekend's results, Portsmouth gave Middlesbrough a really, really tough game. And I think, is it 2-2 in the end, where they got a last minute, was it a penalty? So it's one of those games. I mean, again, 12:30 kick-off, it's not great for their fans to come down for 12:30. I think it's just whoever turns up, because they've got some brilliant individual players. But we've showed for the last 20 minutes yesterday against Swansea especially, that if we can implement our style, especially on our own pitch, then I think we can get something positive out of it.
All right. And then Southampton, put the under-21s out. Do you care less about this?
To be honest, I probably wouldn't, if it wasn't for a certain manager that's in the dugout for Southampton. I think that's probably the sort of thing that we can all sort of, hope that we get some sort of positive result. Our under-21s are currently playing now, and noticeable that their team is consisting of under-18 players. So they are going to be quite a few kids that are playing. But you know what? I think that's what the Cups are for. Especially in the Championship, it's a long season. let the development players have their time to shine. They shone against Bristol Rovers in the previous round. This is another step up, of course. So let's see if they can offer something and put a thought in there or put it to mind.
All right. Thanks again, Jamie, for a very comprehensive review. If you're a Cardiff fan, we'd love you to press the subscribe button and the like button. Do share this content widely as well. Jamie's here every single week. And if you're a Cardiff fan that wants to come on the channel and argue some of Jamie's points, like I know some of you really want to do, if you tell us about it, let's drop us a comment, drop us an email. Cheers, Jamie. Good luck against the Borough, and we'll see you next week.